Hi, I'm Frank Davis. Today I'm going to read to you from this book, Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty and published by Simon Shuster. The Hindu monks I studied with use the Vedas as their foundational text. The title is from Sanskrit word Veda, meaning knowledge. Sanskrit is an ancient language that's the precursor of most of the languages spoken in South Asia today. You could argue that philosophy began with this ancient collection of scriptures, which originated in the area that now covers part of Pakistan and northwest India at least 3,000 years ago. They formed the basis of Hinduism. Like Homer's epic poems, the Vedas were first transmitted orally, then eventually written down, but because of the fragility of the material, palm leaves and birch bark, most of the surviving documents we have are at most a few hundred years old. The Vedas include hymns, historical stories, poems, prayers, chants, ceremonial rituals, and advice for daily life. In my life and in this book, I frequently refer to the Bhagavad Gita, which means Song of God. This is loosely based on the Upanishads written from around 800 to 400 BCE. The Bhagavad Gita is considered a kind of universal and timeless life manual. The tale isn't told about a monk or meant for a spiritual context. It's spoken to a married man who happens to be a talented archer. It wasn't intended to apply only to religion or region. It's for all humanity. Eknath Eswaran, spiritual author and professor who has translated many of India's sacred texts, including the Bhagavad Gita, calls it India's most important gift to the world. In the 1845 journal, Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "I owed my friend and I owed a magnificent day to Bhagavad Gita. It was the first of books. It was as if an empire spoke to us. Nothing small or unworthy, but large, serene, consistent, the voice of an old intelligence, which in another age and climate had pondered and thus disposed of same questions which exercise us. It's said that there have been more commentaries written about the Gita than any other scripture." In this book, one of my goals is to help you connect with its timeless wisdom, along other ancient teachings that were the basis of my education as a monk, and have significant relevance to the challenge we all face today. What struck me most when I studied monk philosophy is that in the last 3,000 years, humans haven't really changed. Sure, we're taller on an average, we live longer, but I was surprised and impressed to find that the monk teachings talk about forgiveness, energy, intentions, living with purpose, and other topics in ways that are as resonant today as they must have been when they were written. Even more impressively, monk wisdom can largely be supported by science, as we will see throughout this book. For millennia, monks have believed that meditation and mindfulness are beneficial, that gratitude is good for you, that service makes you happier, and more than you will learn in this book. That they developed practice around these ideas long before modern science could show or validate them. Albert Einstein said, "If you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it well enough." When I saw how relevant the lesson I was learning were to the modern world, I wanted to dive deeper into them so that I could share them with other people. 3 years after I moved to Mumbai, my teacher, Gauranga Das, told me he believed I would be of greater value and service if I left the ashram and shared what I'd learned with the world. My 3 years as a monk were like a school of life. It was hard to become a monk, even harder to leave. But applying the wisdom to life outside the ashram the hardest part felt like the final exam. Every day I'm finding that the monk mindset works, that ancient wisdom is shockingly relevant today. That is why I'm sharing it. These days I still consider myself a monk, though I usually refer to myself as a former monk since I'm married, and monks aren't permitted to marry. I live in Los Angeles, which people tell me is one of the world capitals of materialism, facade, fantasy, and overall dodginess. But why live in a place that's already enlightened? Now, in the world and in the book, I share my takeaways from life I have lived and what I've learned. The book is completely non-sectarian. It's not some sneaky conversion strategy, I swear. I also promise that if you engage with the practice of the material I present you, will find real meaning, passion, and purpose in your life. Never before have so many people been so dissatisfied or so preoccupied with chasing happiness. Our culture and media feed us images and concepts about who and what we should be, while holding up models of accomplishment and success. Fame, money, glamour, sex, in the end, none of these things can satisfy us. We will simply seek more and more, a circuit that leads to frustration, disillusion, dissatisfaction, unhappiness, and exhaustion. I'd like to draw a contrast between the monk mindset and what is often referred to as the monkey mind. Our minds can either elevate us or pull us down. Today, we all struggle with the overthinking, procrastination, and anxiety as a result of indulging the monkey mind. The monkey mind switches aimlessly from thought to thought, challenge to challenge, without really solving anything. But we can elevate to the monk mindset, by digging down to the root of what we want and create actionable steps for growth. The monk mindset lifts us out of confusion and distraction and helps us find clarity, meaning, and direction. Let me give you a few examples. The monkey mind, overwhelmed by multiple branches. The monk mind, focused on the root of the issue. The monkey mind, coasts in the passenger seat. The monk mind lives internationally and consciously, lives intentionally and consciously. The monkey mind complains, compares, and criticizes. The monk mind, compassionate, caring, and collaboration. And there are many more examples. Thinking like a monk posits another way of viewing and approaching life, a way of rebellion, detachment, discovery, purpose, focus, discipline, and service. The goal of monk thinking is a life free of ego, envy, lust, anxiety, anger, bitterness, and baggage. To my mind, adopting the monk mindset isn't just possible, it's necessary. We have no other choice. We need to find calm, stillness, and peace. I vividly remember my first day of monk school. I had just shaved my head, but I wasn't wearing robes yet, and I still looked like I was from London. I noticed a child monk. He couldn't have been more than 10 years old, teaching a group of 5-year-olds. He had a great aura about him and poise and confidence of an adult. "What are you doing?" I asked. "We just taught their first class ever," he said, then asked me, "What did you learn in your first day of school?" I started to learn the alphabet and numbers. What did they learn? "The first thing we teach them is how to breathe." "Why?" I asked. "Because the only thing that stays with you from the moment you're born and until the moment you die is your breath. All your friends, your family, the country you live in, all of that can change. The one thing that stays with you is your breath." The 10-year-old monk added, "When you get stressed, what changes? Your breath. When you get angry, what changes? Your breath." We experience every emotion with the change of the breath. When you learn to navigate and manage your breath, you can navigate any situation in life. Already I was being taught the most important lessons, to focus on the root of things, not the leaf of the tree or the symptoms of the problem. And I was learning through direct observation that anybody can be a monk, even if they're only 5 or 10 years old. When we're born, the first thing we must do is breathe. But just as life gets more complicated for the newborn baby, sitting still and breathing can be very challenging. What I hope to do in this book is to show you the monk way. We go to the root of things, go deep into self-examination. It is only through this curiosity, thought, effort, and revelation that we can find our way to peace, calm, and purpose. Using the wisdom I was given by my teachers in the ashram, I hope to guide you there. In the pages ahead, I will talk you through 3 stages of adapting to the monk mindset. First, we will let go, stripping ourselves from the external influences, internal obstacles, and fears that hold us back. You can think of this as a cleansing that will make space for growth. Second, we will grow. I will help you reshape your life so that you can make decisions with intention, purpose, and confidence. Finally, we will give looking to the world beyond ourselves, expanding and sharing our sense of gratitude and deepening our relationships. We will share our gifts and love with others and discover the true joy and surprising benefit of service. Along the way, I'll introduce you to 3 different types of meditation that I recommend including in your practice: breath work, visualization, and sound. All 3 have benefits, but the simplest way to differentiate them is to know that you do breath work for the physical benefit, to find stillness and balance, to calm yourself. Visualization for the psychological benefits, to heal the past and prepare for the future. And chanting for the psychic benefits, to connect with your deepest self, the universe, for real purification. You don't have to meditate to benefit from this book, but if you do, the tools I give you will be sharper. I would go so far as to say this entire book is a meditation, a reflection of our beliefs and values and intentions and how we see ourselves, how we make decisions, how to train our mind, and our ways of choosing and interacting with people. Achieving such deep self-awareness is the purpose and reward of meditation. How would a monk think about this? That may not be a question you ask yourself right now. Probably isn't close at all, but it will be by the end of the book.